1 minute. Forgot my mic was on. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close. We're getting close. Minute and a half. Yeah. Oh, that's me watching it. Just got to make sure it's running. All right. We're just about there. Too many screens open. Well, that's not good. That's definitely not good. That's better. Almost time, almost time, almost time, almost time, almost time. And there we are. Okay. And we don't need that one. Let's just trash that one right there. There we go. Looks like it is straight up 4 o'clock. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this Have You Heard Live. We are starting. It is October 3rd. It is 4 p.m. Eastern Time, according to my computer clock. And I am going to try to not screw this up too much. Train wreck potentially happening. It has been a while since I have done anything live, and I have flashing going on in the background, so I'm going to turn a couple of things off so I don't have to see them. There we go. There we go. It is still 4 o'clock, so I'm officially on time. Troy W. Hudson, the voiceover with personality, folks. Thank you so much for joining me for this behind the scenes Have You Heard Live. Essentially, it's to kind of show you what goes on behind the scenes when I do a program, kind of step you through my equipment, step you through my process, the software I use, the tools I use, the hardware I use. And I want to give a little bit of time to allow folks to get on. I believe, according to the checks I've done, I am live on LinkedIn, I am live on YouTube, and I am live on Facebook. So if you are on any of those platforms, you saw the notification. If you could leave a comment, I think I can still bring comments up on the side of the screen here. The program I'm using is Ecamm Live, and it is a wonder. It is beyond so many bells, whistles, and buttons. It's a bit overwhelming because I'm looking at one screen, but I have probably 4 versions of myself up here. And if you want to take a real quick look, let me see if the countdown is there. It shouldn't be there. This is what is going on here. Back here is the iPhone 15 Plus. Lovely that it can shoot as a webcam. Inside the padded room, never before seen. I don't think I've ever done a video in here in 4 years, and alive in 5. So anyway, this is where I sit most of the day when I'm recording. This is my Sennheiser MKH416. Over there, out of sight and always working hard, my Mac Mini. My monitor speakers right here. Not one, but 2 keyboards. This one is running the navigation to the Mac, and this one is dedicated to, I don't know if you can see this or not, this one is dedicated to the teleprompter up there. No, it's not moving. I'm doing this all freestyle. Yeah, so far. So this is what I actually use as the teleprompter, or teleprompter controller, I should say. The teleprompter is currently a piece of software that is running on an iPad Pro that is through the ring light right over here. And there is the Panasonic Lumix G85 right there, right there. Nice little piece of glass on the end of it there. I've got a quiet fan over here, and ignore the mess. You know, there's a lot of stuff. There's cables in here. There's boxes in here. In here, there's a foam tile. There's acoustic sound absorption on the wall. There's all kind of things in here that make it, takes it from a bedroom/office and gives me the ability to record inside a padded room. These are edge lights, one on each side, over here and over here. And of course, the ring light I showed you. A 27-inch Spectre monitor helps me out, keeps everything straight, hopefully. And let me see if I can bring up a comment. Let me back up a little bit. I want to see. I have a comment on Facebook. And bear with me, please. All right. I can bring it up. All right. Pastor David, I'm here and I have been interested in how it all works. And this is how it all works when it works. More times than not, there are issues that pop up. Let me go back to studio camera. This is the Panasonic G85, the Lumix Panasonic G85 with that I just showed you before inside the halo light. I'm going to start the teleprompter so I can kind of keep things moving and kind of tell you what I am doing as I go through it. And I'll give you some, I'll bounce back and forth from camera to camera, but I want to keep this moving because your time is valuable. I still have more work to do. And at the end of this thing, I'm going to be actually recording the script for the show that has not even been done yet to kind of show you how I do it, goofs, flubs, and all. So, yeah. So, again, if you have a comment, if you have a question, pop it in regardless of the area, the platform you're watching on. And I'll do my best to kind of stop. There is a delay I noticed, anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds. Weird. Hopefully my voice is in sync. If it is not, chime in. I think I have the mic delay set right. So anyway, I am here to share a process that a lot of folks are fascinated by. It is a behind the scenes or how to do it kind of content video. In this case, a weekly show that I created, I produce, I write, I edit, and I post on multiple sites called Have You Heard? I want to allow for the live stream audience to kind of join in, so I'll give you some background information on me, the show, and then we will actually dive in to do a show and answer any questions that you have along the way. It is about 4 or 5 after 4 o'clock. Hopefully we'll be done well before 5 o'clock. You have things to do. It's Friday, and so do I. Have You Heard is an edited show, not live when I do it. It's all edited. I started last November around Thanksgiving week, and I share it on YouTube, TikTok, and LinkedIn. I share it on my Facebook and Instagram pages occasionally. The show's title was inspired by my wife, Tammy, as a way of getting me back to doing on-camera marketing in a way that was not marketing the way I had done it before, but something that I enjoyed. history, trivia, celebrating days of the week, birthdays, national days, presented in a fun and entertaining way. I was initially writing, hosting, and editing a new episode every weekday, but I switched to a weekly format after a few months because, the amount of time it was taking me, 6+ hours for each episode in production, posting the media, that was eating into my work schedule, into my weekends, and some other production projects that I wanted to work on. In addition to the main shows, I edit each one down into YouTube shorts or reels, and I share those across my social media channels. I produced a whole series during Super Bowl 59 week trying to jump on that trending wagon. I was exhausted and decided doing trendy events was just too much, and it kind of deviated from the format. Here's the truth. For the amount of work involved in doing the show, it has been disappointing to see lackluster numbers. I added a few hundred subscribers with only a few videos, getting more than a few thousand views, and I blame all of that on me and the learning curve involved. I know how to tell a story. I know how to edit video. I've been doing this for about 4 decades now, so I kind of have a rhythm and I kind of know what works and what doesn't. But there is so much more to learn about the ins and outs of posting on different channels. You got SEO, you got hashtags, you got video titles, you got thumbnails, how to post, when to post, what to do after you post. I enjoy learning new things, but I also like to see results from my labor and keep clear on my why. I'll share a bit on my why shortly. About a month ago, I switched the format from date-focused content. National Day Calendar was a big source. Other sites, This Day in History kind of thing. I moved away from the date-focused content to the origin and history of unusual phrases and words. Still, have you heard, but with a twist and the production of more evergreen content. It means it has a longer shelf life or watch life, which was not dependent on a calendar day, but an interest and a tie-in to what I do as a voiceover artist. I say all kinds of words each and every day. We all do. But where does some of these words, really wacky and unusual phrases that we use or hear even come from? Phraseology fascinates me. Thus, have you heard? It's evolved, but it's still fun for me to do and apparently fun for the viewers as the response has been better, not crazy better, but it's growing. I've since started 2 other shows that reside as separate YouTube channels that I share to my TikTok. Have y'all heard? Have y'all heard? A Southern character voice version of Have You Heard? And Heroes of Honor, a tribute channel that tells the story of Medal of Honor recipients. Very different, but all passions of mine. Storytelling, humor, and heroes. I dabble with a program called Troy's Brain Popcorn. I think I've got the hat over here somewhere. Still got the hat. You bring it up on the other camera so you can't see it. It's not going to be in focus there. But, where am I? Okay. Yeah, there we go. Troy's Brain Popcorn. Yep. And I dabble with that for before I jump any further into this thing, what do you think? White hat or black hat? I kind of like the black hat. I'm going to go with the black hat for now. I do most of the shows with the black hat. I did the Super Bowl and outdoor shows, the extras just to set it off. Yeah, okay, that's I'm deep into that. So the Brain Popcorn show is kind of on the back burner since this is there's only so much time to do work and create shows. All right, real quick, I want to make sure my audio is still good. Yep, still good. Why do I keep producing Have You Heard? I have to have a reason. What's my ultimate goal? 2 reasons. First, to market my media production business, voiceover and on camera. And I do it by not promoting me, but by showing up in the show, by being me, and keeping it hopefully entertaining. Second reason, I have a goal of monetizing my YouTube and TikTok channels and making money through sponsorships and products. I enjoy producing the content. I'd love to generate multiple revenue streams while I'm doing this. Real quick, YouTube monetization is making money based on subscribers, watch time hours. It's where YouTube actually pays creators to produce content that's being watched. Currently 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time hours annually. I recently hit the 1K sub milestone, but the watch time That's really challenging. I'm not as familiar with TikTok's rules on paying creators. I use it mainly as a way of just connecting to a growing audience and A/B testing what I post on YouTube and there. One of the key ways in my research to gain the watch time hours on YouTube is by doing exactly what I am doing right now. Live streaming is one of the most effective ways to gain the hours with long-form video that's watched live and later on in replays. By watching this live, you're helping me out. Thank you, sincerely. And if you're watching the replay waiting on me to get to the have you heard behind the scenes and doing a show, we're just a few minutes from diving into that. Again, I'm just waiting for a few more people to jump in. I'm seeing viewer numbers at the top of my Ecamm screen, and that's encouraging. So while I'm waiting, I want to give you a little bit more background information, how I got here, only from the past 5 years, of course. And then we'll jump into the production process. I'll share some screens, talk to you through how I produce the weekly show. I'll show you some web browser screens. I'll show you the tools I use. AI is involved, just so you know, so don't be afraid. I'm still in control. This is real. This is me, warts, breathing, flub ups and all. So if this is where I'm going to officially join the broadcast when I do editing. The first part won't be on the actual live, on the replay stream. When I package this back out, but this is where I'm officially beginning. All right, here we go. Hi, if you're joining me live here on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, it's Friday, October 3rd, 2025, around 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm in my padded room, my voiceover production studio. See, even on the intro, I goofed up. So I'm going to show you what I do when I goof up. And I'm going to go, this is, see, 2 keyboards. I have to keep reminding myself which one to use. This takes it back. And this, I don't want to speed it up. If you can see the words on the iPad behind the camera, it makes it look like I'm looking right. Yeah, okay. The trick here, just so you know, if you ever do use and make it go forward so I get up to the right place. If you ever are using a teleprompter with a camera, the trick or key that I've discovered, let me stop it right there, is the fact that you are just barely above the lens right here. Let me show you a little bit better here. Just barely above the lens right here on the camera and behind about a foot. So you're kind of blocking off the bottom of the words. Let me show you where I'm looking at. Blocking off the bottom of the words through the ring light so that the light, I don't even see that. I just look through that. And so the eye line, it looks like it's right about there, slightly above, but people are used to that. And so there's the teleprompter that I'm reading from. And so, yeah, there you go. And I'll go back and we'll start again, maybe, and I'll get through this. Here we go. It's only 1:15. All right, so you hit the right keyboard, and here we go. Hi, Troy W. Hudson, the voiceover with personality. If you're joining me live here on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, it's Friday, October 3rd, 2025, around 4 o'clock, and I'm in my padded room. My voiceover production studio in Georgia, USA, that I spend quite a bit of time in 5 days a week working on VO projects, video projects, and posting stuff from here on my social media pages as I run and market the media production business that I call my own. I'm getting ready to celebrate the beginning of lucky year 13 as of October 16th, 2012. Cue the dream sequence. October 1st, 13 years and 2 days ago. My boss walks into the Ray Media Editing Suite on Greystone Boulevard in Columbia, South Carolina, and tells me, we're shutting things down. And thus, I suddenly went from a safe, well-paying job as a commercial video editor and resident of W2 land all my adult working life to suddenly unemployed. A freelancer, looking for work, self-employed. I didn't know what to call myself for about 4 years. Well, I eventually embraced the fear and the challenge of not knowing what to expect and building a business with what I knew, what I could learn, listening to the right folks, working my tail off, and most importantly, having faith in a God who showed me more love, grace, favor, and patience than I ever deserved. All those things helped build Troy W. Hudson Professional Voiceovers with personality into a very successful business that at its peak was grossing close to $200K annually in revenue prior to 2020. Well, about 5 years ago, I started doing a weekly live show I called my VoiceOver Weekly Stew, which started in August 2020. I started it primarily to overcome my fear of doing live video and to promote my brand and business. Those early ones were painful. They're still on my YouTube channel if you want to get a good laugh. My knees literally knocking, my voice shaking, but a great learning experience, which later became the biggest adrenaline rush of my week back then. I followed up each weekly show by reading children's stories live during the COVID lockdown time for kids, mostly kids, but also their parents too. On April 16th, 2021, 4.5 years ago, I did my very last live because I was burned out from trying to come up with new ideas to fill 30 minutes that were different from the other shows, which primarily talked about my business, the projects I worked on, and some behind-the-scene how-tos. The show prep was getting more involved, and it was exhausting after a long production week. I felt like I was repeating myself along with the stress of making sure all the moving parts were working. You've kind of seen a few of them. Just to make it happen technically. If you've ever done live streaming, you know how stressful this can be. There were some pretty cool moments like doing live giveaways of my branded mugs. I don't know if any of you remember or ever saw. I gave away a bunch of these coffee cup mugs back in the day, Q&A during the stream, and after a few months, I wasn't afraid of hitting that live button anymore. It was just like, okay, here we go again. Out of repetition, out of, just practice, out of comfort. I made a lot of mistakes. There were lots of train wrecks to watch, but I was able to just laugh it off after a while. I also got used to, and I got to use some amazing software called Ecamm Live. We're going to leave that one in there, folks. Which allowed me to broadcast from my home studio. In fact, let me back up a little bit. I'll just edit this out. I'm going back on the teleprompter. This is off the page, okay, and I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to pick it up right there, and we're going to do 2. I also got to use some amazing software called Ecamm Live, which allowed me to broadcast from my home studio. I could add graphics, share screens, browser windows, put in sound effects, do picture-in-picture, show comments live as they came in, which is what I'm using right now, Ecamm Live. In fact, here's one right now. The vote was for go with the black hat, and the black hat it is. All right. All that to say, the more bells and whistles they came up with, the more pressure I felt to keep upping the production, which led to the burnout and eventually stopping and backing away from doing the VO Weekly Stew and going dark on marketing for quite a while. I mean, quite a while. All right, fast forward a couple of years, those booming years, raking in the green. It taken a hit since I was not marketing. In this business, if you're not being heard, no one knows you have anything to say. Thus is born in late 24. Have you heard? Okay, enough of the background, my story. I'm ready to show you exactly how I produce a weekly show on YouTube and TikTok called Have You Heard? And if you're watching on either YouTube or TikTok on the live or the later replay, do me a favor, subscribe on the YouTube channel or follow TikTok. I don't think I'm on live on TikTok. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Subscribe, follow, like, whatever you got to do on any of those platforms. If you're watching on Facebook page live, thank you. As I mentioned, this helps me a lot. All right, basically I ran out of hands, so seven steps I use to produce the weekly video show, Have You Heard? The very first one is scripting. And let me take you to a page that I hope shows up. It showed up. Awesome. So now I'm going to another, that's the picture-in-picture I'm talking about right there. Over here in the corner. Yeah, there we go. And what you are looking at is, that's not the right browser page. Let me make sure I'm on the right page. That is, yeah. I knew starting out, scripting-wise, that was going to be the hardest thing. Whether I was doing a day-to-day calendar show or the phraseology show with the unusual phrases, I knew that doing that, the scripting part was going to be challenging. I can edit, I can tweak, but the thought of pulling the phrases and researching the phrases and putting it all down, that was just, I knew that was going to be too time consuming. So what I ended up doing is experimenting over the last 9 months, going on 9 months probably, more like 10 actually. Does it matter? 9 or 10? It doesn't matter. Experimenting with different AI scripting tools. And I have been through a bunch of them. I'm not paying for any scripting tools, any AI tools, and there's a myriad of them out there. I have tried every one of the mainstream ones that I know of, and I have settled on this buddy right here, Claude.ai. For whatever reason, this gives me the most interesting, the most human-sounding, hey, I would write like that, starting point to work from. And I have used ChatGPT. I have used Grok. I have used Google's Gemini. I have used Microsoft Copilot. So I have tried all of these AI tools using various prompts, the same prompt, to finally arrive at the conclusion that most of the time, Claude.ai, if you're looking for just Claude.ai, if you're looking to try to use it, not paying for the upper tier, the whatever it is, the monthly, I think it's $20. Most of them are $20. Didn't do that. And there's a limit to how many you can type or use on a given day. And I've hit that limit and just kind of backed away and started again later on that afternoon, started a new chat with it, and that's it. So, but let me tell you what's really important in the scripting phase for me, and you're like, well, it takes a lot of time to create a prompt that's going to work. And let me go back and show you on my notes page. I think I am muted. No, I am not muted. Okay, there we go. I took myself off of the picture because I don't want to get in the way. It took me a long, long time to come up with the prompts that would work for the show. And unusual phrases, Claude AI script prompt. The prompt, and I've pulled some of this from other sources, people on YouTube saying, hey, here's a good prompt, or there's a good prompt. And this is what I arrived at, and what I paste into every script, or every time I go to Claude or any of the other tools. Prompt is act as a viral content strategist for faceless channels. It doesn't matter if that was there or not. Strange and unusual phrases niche. My goal is to create content that hits 80% retention in the first 30 seconds. Structure, hook, story, revelation, callback, but don't include those captions or visual directions in the script because it can really throw the reading off. Write an entertaining and factual script, no longer than 500 words, about 150 words per minute. So we're talking about a 4-minute-ish script for the weekly show, Have You Heard?, featuring unusual, quirky, little-known history, facts, trivia that all focus on 7 crazy or unusual and quirky phrases that are common to most people. Again, I'm feeding it details. The show needs to be fun, positive, factual, interesting, comedic, family-friendly, and all segments must be fact-checked and sourced. And let me talk about that real quick. Let me talk about that real quick. I ran into so many instances in the scripting phase, especially on the daily events. When I knew that this today was recognized as whatever day, ice cream day, or wear a hat day, or whatever it was, something interesting. Undoubtedly, AI makes, and all this is across the board, AI makes some really horrible factual historical mistakes on content. So I can attest to the fact that you need to check, you need to fact check, you need to verify, you need to Siri it. Hey Siri, is that right? Or my rule generally is 3 different sites. If I'm getting the information on 3 different sites, then I pretty much trust that AI has told me the right dates or the right information. And So yeah, that's what I do. So the rest of it is just kind of telling it, get to the right page. There we go. 5-second teaser, fact check it, make sure it's sourced, show me where you got it from. Segment 1 is the wackiest phrase for that week's show. Do not include my name in the intro. Start with have you heard, along with the teaser, followed by stay tuned. I broke this down in so much detail. Again, this took me months to fine-tune this. Short animation opening. Outro should be, that's all. Last thing, I say who I am. Again, I put it all down there, so it just comes out faster and I get it done sooner. All right, so the script analysis, once I feed Claude or ChatGPT or whatever AI tool I'm using to help me with the script, I tell it to analyze engagement, identify weak points, suggest visual and pacing improvements, rewrite the script based on the improvement recommendations. And this was key so it didn't repeat the phrases. And that was I had to, on each week's show, I do 7. I think I did 9 the first one. But I will put in all of the phrases. You might remember some of these if you watch Mad as a Hatter, barking up the wrong tree, flying off the handle, close but no cigar, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read them all. But there's a bunch of them here. And each week I have to add them, or it could potentially repeat. Again, it is wonderful for getting stuff organized, but you got to help it. And so again, Claude AI, the ChatGPT is probably in second place. Grok does some interesting things with some of the scripts, and it can be quite humorous. But again, Claude is my go-to, and so yeah, that's what I'm sticking to. Okay, so we've decided we're going to do Black Hat. There's Black Hat and there's White Hat. That's not even the right hat. That was when I celebrated 40 years last year. Where did I put the other one? Here we go. So, yep. So we decided Black Hat. All right, we're doing Black Hat. The second thing I want to hit on real quick is the use of the teleprompter or the iPad, input, speed placement, remotes. This is the best, an Apple Bluetooth keyboard is the best remote I have found for, you can see watch the words. For the words to scroll by, I can adjust speed, I can adjust where it's at. I better not hit these because it'll take me to the end or the beginning. But I can go forward, I can go backwards, I can pause it, I can speed it up, I can make the text bigger, I can make it smaller with the plus and minus key. Great thing if you're sitting here. If you're not sitting in a studio and you want teleprompter control, I have found a little game controller. This little game controller from 8-Bit Duo. This is where I put the glasses on and make sure I read. Yeah, 8-Bit Do, I found, is a great little remote controller I put it in my pocket if I'm out in the woods or out on location, and it makes a great remote control, and it won't do it on this one because it's not tied to this one. That would be really confusing. But yeah, that is a handy-dandy little device to have. So getting the speed right on the teleprompter is important if you're going to be sitting in a studio or just reading it from your phone. I'll show you that the teleprompter even works on an iPhone. So if I bring up a script, the one I'm getting ready to do, I can scroll through and I can adjust the size, of course. I can adjust the speed. There's a little rabbit in the bottom right and a turtle on the other side, and that is the speed adjustment. And I can basically, it's much easier, obviously, to use the front camera, which is still HD. I know the back camera gives you better quality, but I can't really read off that, if you know what I mean. So the teleprompter on phone, teleprompter on an iPad, very handy to have. Whether you can remember lines or not, it's great, even if you're just hitting note points. And so Very, very helpful. All right, let me go back here, advance this. Shooting setup, camera, software, and screens. All right, the shooting setup I kind of told you before. I am looking at the Panasonic Lumix G85 camera. There are tons of different cameras. Sony makes them, Canon makes them. I bought this almost 6 years ago. I think it was 6 years ago. And because it was really good at the time. And in order to get a DSLR kind of camera hooked in and replace the low quality webcams, I think I've got one right here. I'll show you. If your computer doesn't have a camera, you got to go back to the iPhone camera. This is a Logitech C920, I believe, and it just goes directly into the USB port. And those are notoriously low quality to use. So what I ended up going with, I wanted the quality to be right. I wanted to use lights. I do have a video background, so I wanted to use lights. I wanted to use a better quality camera. I wanted to consider my backdrop. In my old studio in Columbia, South Carolina, I had more room, so I was able to put other stuff behind me, which would, if you're familiar with the bokeh effect, where cameras with like this particular lens is a 1.7 f-stop, and that allows that fuzzy background, basically, or the bokeh effect. And I had lights and different things behind me and different elements that, associated with the business. In this case, I just got a very tall show display behind me that has my website and the colors and everything like that. Otherwise, it would just be a big black acoustic tile on behind my head, but I can put anything back there. So the camera, the software I use to record when I'm just doing voiceovers is Adobe Audition, and the program I'm using to record video is Ecamm Live. I can also use QuickTime to record video. I discovered because with the new, I'm going to bring you over here just to show you the quality. I'm going to take it off. With the new, don't be afraid. With the, I want you to see something. Look at that is the windscreen on my Sennheiser mic. Look at the difference in the color here versus there. Now, this is good. It's okay. But this is a fairly good DSLR camera from 6 years ago. And this is an iPhone 15 camera. Now, this is using the back camera, of course, because it is a bit better. And there are no, I can't show you this, but there are no cables attaching this. This is totally Bluetooth. And look at the green on that. Now, it's not 100% reliable. It has been known to flake out on me, so if it does flip out, I've got, the studio camera I can go back to. But I did a couple of videos. In fact, I did the last show, Have You Heard, using the iPhone camera. And I was amazed at how clean it looked and now the color difference without doing anything else to it. So most of the time on just auto, it's doing phenomenal things. And in a controlled environment like this, excuse me, I've been super impressed. So let me go back to this so I can stop holding this. And let's see, do I have a good shot here still? Hey, it's still working. Look at that. All right. So let me go back to this. So camera, software, screens, again, I'm looking at the main screen here when I'm setting up my video for Have You Heard. And I do the raw recordings here. And then I take it from there using Ecamm or QuickTime. I'm advancing my teleprompter to make sure I get everything said. And then I go to a program. I used to go to a program called Adobe Premiere. And now I go to a program, CapCut. And this is the timeline of CapCut. And let me go to it. There we go. I'll leave them there. And this is the editing timeline where I bring in all the raw footage for CapCut, where I add the graphics overlay for each one of the words that I'm doing, and B-roll. And I want to show you that real quick. It's like, where does this stuff come from? You got B-roll here. You got this was about the whole 9 yards. It was based on coal mining. And I've got a shot of a coal miner. I've got coal. It's like, where do I get that stuff? Well, I will show you that real quick. And that is, where did it go? Where did it go? There it is. So I need to change screens and show you. Okay, I'm going to show you. Yeah, is that the one? There we go. Only so many buttons to push. What you're looking at right now is where I get all my B-roll video footage. It is a site called Envato Elements, E-N-V-A-T-O, Elements, or elements.envato.com. Stock video. I have access to stock pictures. I have access to stock music. I have access to all kind of stuff on here. And any of the video you see is going to come from thousands and thousands of clips. Most of them all HD, some of them vertical, but almost the vast majority is horizontal video. And I think you can see that pre-roll on the screen. I believe you can. Yeah, I want to make sure. Yeah, okay, I don't know if you can or not. Anyway, it's pre-rolling for me. So it gives you a little example. And, you know, for example, I could have typed up here in the search bar, coal miner, return, and eventually it shows you coal mines. Maybe if I just do miner. There's a miner in the hole. There's a miner there. Suppose if there was a kid in the mine, it'd be a miner. Okay. Yeah, that's the source I use for B-roll and graphics and fonts and music. So there's music in the show. That's a great source. I think I pay about $170 a year for access to all of it. And one of the coolest things that is available through the Envato Elements site is a thing called Image Generator. And that is the ability to copy and paste a description from the script that the AI tool generates. By the way, I didn't mention this before, but after I get the suggested script from AI, I always go through it, and undoubtedly I have to tweak and mess with it. So it's not 100% AI, but it's about 75% AI done and 25% of what I would do. I type something about, looking for something about Biscotti Day, and you can see all these are just AI generated. Some of them are cartoonish. If I say be photorealistic, it'll stick with this, it'll stick with this, it'll stick with this. It's notorious for making mistakes spelling, so I would never count on it to do that. But you get an idea of just, these are not stock photos. These are just AI generated things, and some of them can be really strange, the way they combine them. Like this is supposed to be a thing about Waffle House and Waffle House. Not exactly the right way. It's going to protect logos and copyrights and commercials. Some of the food combos it puts together are frightening and a little stomach turning, but it is what it is. So the more detail, again, you give AI, whether it's scripting or generating an image, the more detail, the better. National Coffee Day, this one I just recently did, and I thought that was the best one to represent National Coffee Day versus, like, what's he doing on the counter there? I don't know. Again, I'm not sure what that is either. But they even have a video generator, but it takes a long time, and so I don't mess with that usually. But I'll copy and paste description, and then sometimes enhance the prompt and let it do its thing, and that's fine, and it does pretty well. So I take all that into CapCut. Let me go back over here, and let's see, CapCut screen. I take all of those images back into CapCut, and I believe I have to mute it. I'm not going to play audio from it because I get this weird feedback while I'm playing audio and I'm talking at the same time. But essentially, I drop everything in. I generate the graphics. For each section. Drop the B-roll in. And I've started doing a thing where I would insert segments that had, where did it go? It was right. There's someone under the bus. Where's it at? These segments. Where I would essentially just shoot something out in the field so it looked different and put it in a TV as a transition. And then I would do my sit down on camera stuff that I'm going to show you in just a minute, and then add the graphics later and add the B-roll. And essentially that's what it is. CapCut then allows me to export and upload to the various platforms, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, etc. Again, Facebook and Instagram sometimes. And of course, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to step you through an actual reading of the script after I can get to it. I got to get on the right page. All right, there we go. I'd love to do the show with the iPod camera, but the iPhone camera. So now I have the show pulled up. Where am I at? I want to get this set and show you what I'm looking at. I am looking at, oh, by the way, that's a super quiet fan over there. I can keep on when I'm recording. Keeps it comfortable in here when it's warm. There is the script for 10/3/25. It says intro teaser, and then I advance it, and have you heard? So this is never before, has not been out yet, and I'm going to show you how I actually record, warts and all, the actual show, which I promised after I gave you all the behind-the-scenes stuff of how I do it. I'm going to bring the mic in a little bit. Make sure I'm set. I'm going to do something else. I can't do that while that's up. But I want to make sure that I have good focus. And I actually do that. There's a screen right there. You can't really see it, but it shows that this is connected as a camera. Now I'm going to scroll up here and go to my, where's it at? Yep. Panasonic's image app program, and I got to change my Wi-Fi setting to connect to the camera and not my home network. So they have to be talking to each other. So the phone is talking to the camera that I'm looking at right now. Yeah, I can keep all this straight. So I click remote operation. And this is what happens because I'm doing this live. You saw that go black and then it went blue and now it's back on me. Okay, that was intentional. So now this could get scary. All right. So I want to move in to make sure the focus is good. It focuses on me. I go back out. Yeah, wasn't that scary, folks? And now I'm going to, because on autofocus, this camera is weird. It would roll in and out on me. So having it on manual focus through the software is the best way to do this. So I'm going to put this back on the stand. And again, if I were not doing this the way I'm doing it, I would probably use the iPhone camera. Oh, and one more thing that I've got to bring in here are, you're going to brand it. Let's brand it right, okay? All right. We are rolling, going much longer than I thought. That's okay. Here we go. This is the show that is going to air next week, and this is the recording. Have you heard the phrase cold turkey? It turns out it's not leftovers. It's the creepy reason people look like poultry when quitting bad habits. Stay tuned. So that's the intro. The animation would roll. The opening of Have You Heard? Real quick. It's less than 2 seconds because you got to give them quick. All right. These are the 7 phrases. Let's talk about the first one. We're going to chew through 7 of the weirdest phrases we toss around like candy. Number 1 is cold turkey, and the recording goes like this. When people quit something suddenly, they say they went cold turkey. But why poultry? Well, in the early 1900s, doctors noticed addicts who suddenly stopped had clammy skin and goosebumps, eerily similar to an uncooked bird. Imagine telling your friends, sorry, I can't party. I look like Thanksgiving dinner. Appetite lost, but phrase secured. Leave a little pause there at the end so I can transition away. And we're ready for phrase number 2, raining cats and dogs. Picture London. I'm going to go back and do that again because I got an idea for something a little fun. I'll stop the prompter. Again, this would be, or I'd edit, obviously, not put this in. Here we go. Picture London, 1600s. Heavy rain pours down narrow streets with terrible drainage. Dead animals, trash, sometimes unlucky strays washed into its gutter. Screwed that up, didn't I? Yeah, let's go back. Raw, baby, raw. Oh, it's good to have editing tools. And I get a lot of work out in CapCut. Here we go. Picture London, 1600s. Heavy rain pours down narrow streets with terrible drainage. Dead animals, trash, sometimes unlucky strays washed into the gutters. To stunned city folk, it really seemed like cats and dogs fell from the sky. Next time it's pouring outside, just be glad it's Labradors and tabbies staying indoors. All right, so number 3, skeletons in the closet. Creepy much? Back in the 1800s, dissecting human bodies was highly restricted. Doctors who wanted to study anatomy sometimes snuck home a skeleton or two, stashing them in literal closets. One nosy neighbor away from a horror movie. Today, instead of illegal skeletons, our closets are just filled with embarrassing selfies. Word number 4. Before Ubers, people relied on horse-drawn carriages, but sometimes the horse wasn't having it, kicking free of the leather harness or traces. Chaos followed overturned carts, panicked passengers, and a furious driver. So if someone kicks over the traces today, it just means they're rebelling without flattening your groceries. Number 5 word is through thick and thin. This one goes way back. Originally written as thick and thin with ease on the end, it meant trudging with your friend through thick woods and thin open ground. Basically, no matter the terrain, I've got your back. Forget cute friendship bracelets. These 14th century pals pledged loyalty while dodging wolves and mud pits. Hardcore besties. Number 6. Get all of them up there. There we go. We go back. Oh, go back, not forward. There we go. And this will be, where does Butterfingers come from? Okay. Blame old Charles Dickens for this one. In 1836, he roasted a clumsy character as a butter-fingered swain. Let me try that. A butter-fingered swain. The insult stuck faster than, well, butter sliding off toast. The term exploded in Victorian slang, eventually inspiring candy bars. Ooh, one of my favorites. A fun fact, England's cricket commentators loved calling fumbling players butterfingers, probably between tea breaks. Chew the fat is the next one. Sailors at sea often had rations of rock-hard salted pork. It took forever to soften, so they'd gnaw and gossip at the same time. Chewing the fat was literally wasting hours munching and chatting. These days, we get the fun of conversation without needing dentist-strength molars. Call that progress. So those are the 7 phrases, and then I do my outro. And that's all for this week's edition of Have You Heard? Please leave a comment and tell me which was the most surprising, the one you've never heard. I'm Troy W. Hudson, the voiceover with personality. Until next time, stay curious. Again, another hole right there. And we made it through. I think we did. And look, in less than an hour. I think I explained everything. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you hanging in there. And I so hope it made it all the way through the entire video. I hope you learned something. On LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube is where I sent this. Hopefully it got to all of them. I won't know until later if it actually recorded. And the 7 words that you heard on This Have You Heard will appear next week after it's all edited together, like I showed you in CapCut. I'll get some of the elements from Envato. I'll add some music. I'll do some effects. And hopefully this gave you kind of an insight into what goes on. Yeah. One more time, let me show you well, how did that happen? Oh, I know how that happened. That's the iPhone camera. I want to show you how this works. I think it's because I didn't switch it back. And you should. There we go. Yeah, that was it. I didn't switch it back to camera mode. So again, one more quick look. I'll give you a little bit more since I'm handheld. Actually, I'm going to not do that. I'm going to put it on the mount because handheld can be obnoxious. This is, that's where the Mac Mini hides, along with the hard drives that I keep. And if I had that open, you would hear fan noise and computer hard drives, but this turned out to be a really good solution. These are bass traps. Because I couldn't get one that was 8 feet tall, I had to stack them and put that in the corner. If you know, you know, bass traps. Can you tell that green's kind of my thing? Acoustic tiles, I think there are a total of 8 around the room spaced out. Not every square inch needs to be covered. Some storage back there. I keep a lot of stuff in here. I keep cables. I keep boxes with other electronics in here. All kind of stuff. So this is actually after I cleaned up a little bit because I knew you were going to be popping in. The halo light again. The edge lights. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to cover or tell you about. I don't think so. So I'm going to go out with, oh, okay. We have a, I want to answer this. Oops. There we go. Pastor David asks, I think I missed the part about what you use for the teleprompter with the iPhone, but is it an app? If so, which one? And yes, it is called Teleprompter, and I'm going to bring it up and at least show you what the, it's just called Teleprompter. See if I can go to the App Store and find it real quick. Yeah, that's the thing about apps. You don't necessarily know who makes them. But if you search for a teleprompter and you look for a, this is what it looks like when it comes up on your phone. And again, you can mirror that to the iPad or do it off your phone. But again, if you're sitting here reading it, I can start it here and just start reading it. Celebrating days of the week. You can speed it up. It's too slow. And speed it up. And I can adjust the size of the text and present it in a fun and entertaining way. I was initially blah, 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 blah. And so it's extremely handy. Again, I use this I've used it on multiple shoots. I did have to buy that app, so it wasn't completely free, but it was worth it. I think it's like $30 a year, but it is super, super helpful. It speeds things along. It keeps you organized. It's just a great handy tool to have if you do any kind of on-camera stuff and you're afraid, because back in the day, 5 years ago, I didn't use any sort of teleprompter. I used notes, and even then, it was extremely difficult to kind of stay on task. Even today, after not doing this for 5 years, it has been a challenge to kind of to know when to go off script and to show you enough without getting into the geek weeds and getting too technical. So hopefully that helped. Telling you about the teleprompter, the app that's used. Again, just go to the App Store. I think it works for Android as well. I'm not sure. I have all Mac stuff, all Apple stuff, so I'm kind of out of touch with PC and Android phone users. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And again, I don't know if I told you about the mic as much. This is a key element for me, and obviously for all voice-over artists. But hopefully this won't make too much of a noise. Forgive me if it does. Nice sound effect, huh? This is a windscreen for the Sennheiser MKH416 microphone. I've had this for, has it been 9 years? No, more like 7 years, I think. I think I got it in 2018. And it was the one I wanted to get after seeing it. This microphone actually has a story behind it real quick. If you want to stick around, sure, why not? I'm going to get out of here at 5 o'clock since I've gotten this close. This is without the windscreen. You probably can't really tell. It's a shotgun mic, so it picks up pretty much just out of here at the end. It's a condenser mic, if you're curious about that, and not a dynamic. Dynamic would be one you would hold and kind of what singers use. A condenser mic is more sensitive, and it's going to pick up the nuances and the character of the voice, but it's also going to pick up a lot of extraneous noise if you're not in a quiet space in a studio. And thus I just added this extra layer for branding and for just, again, let me mute this while I put it back on. Forgive me. And that is the, you're welcome. That is the Sennheiser MKH416 microphone. Originally, I think it was, I bought it on eBay from a guy that actually used it to produce a documentary for Merle Haggard. That's the story. If you know country music, you know who that was. So that apparently was recorded his voice. Ooh. But it was a cool story at the time, and he gave me a good deal. About $700 or $800 on this. New, it's close to $1,000. And so it's really a premier mic that I've used, like I said, I think for about 7 years now. And I started out using a USB microphone, a Yeti Snowball, I think it was, the little round ball things that Yeti had. I think they still make them. And then went to one that looked a little more like a traditional mic. Again, these were USB mics. I then upgraded and bought a digital audio workstation, Universal Audio Apollo, which kind of processes the sound of this microphone. The only quirky thing is when I'm doing video, I have to set a slight delay because this is going into the computer and it's going through an interface and then coming back out. So there is a slight delay that if I didn't shift it a little bit to offset it, my mouth would be out of sync. And there have been Zoom calls when it's really strange and it has to be disorienting. Anyway, that's it. It is 5 o'clock. We did it. I did it. You hung in there, and thank you for watching the behind the scenes. I may do this again next week, but much abbreviated, where I'll just do the show and kind of give you a quick, well, here's what's coming this next week to try to get those watch time hours on YouTube generated more than what they are, to try to get monetized sooner. Since I've got the subscribers, now we want to go for the watch time hours. So it's got to be a little bit more entertaining than this, though. Yeah, we're going to have to do that. So yeah, that's about all I got. You guys be blessed, be a blessing, have a great weekend, be safe out there, enjoy yourself, and We will see you next time.